So, there's been a lot of chatter about the Falcons and their draft philosophy and, you know, if the best available player is there on the board at 8, whether that's wide receiver, whether that's a Bijan Robinson, whatever it is, safety, corner, whatever like that. Okay? And the Falcons stay true to their board and they draft best available player, best player available, right? BPA, right? We hear that all the time. Okay. So if BPA means that corner or running back is the play at number 8, or listen, if the Falcons look at BPA and say Will Levis is, the highest rated guy on our board, when you're so deficient at what wins in the NFL, and I keep circling back to this, if you're so deficient at what wins in the NFL, how can you pass one of those guys by? Let's just say for argument's sake, okay, that when the group of guys that are sitting there at number 8 for the Falcons to draft, let's say Myles Murphy is 3rd, 4th, 5th on their draft board as far as available players. Maybe Will Levis is higher, maybe a Jalen Carter is higher, whatever. Okay. I mean, whatever combination of players and things like that you want to do. You want to take Christian Gonzalez or, Devin Witherspoon, whatever. I don't really care about the name on the back of the jersey. Okay. But if that guy is a first round talent and you are so deficient at what wins in the NFL, why do you think we haven't won the last 5 years? Why do you think we've not had a winning record? Is it because, we just haven't had enough money to spend? Hell, the Falcons, when they didn't have money a few years ago, signed Todd Gurley and signed Dante Fowler to a $56 million contract when they didn't have any money, when they had like $2 on the cap. So that's not it. Well, we just don't have enough skill position people, wide receivers and tight ends. Okay, well, you've seen the last couple of years, it hadn't made a bit of a difference. Well, we have to dig out from, the holes that we created and stuff like that. Well, part of that's your own fault, but also, too, again, the Falcons had $9 million of money to spend last year. When they went into week 1 of the NFL season, they had almost $9 million by the time they did the Deion Jones and all that. They had $9 million to spend. So, again, and the only team that seems to stick to caps and stuff like that are the Falcons. The Saints just freed up $35 million of money, $36 million of cash. And they had what, $4 on the cap? You can always find money to do what you got to do. Falcons proved it 2 years ago when they signed Todd Gurley and Dante Fowler. So it's not that. What are we deficient in? Are we great at quarterback, great on our offensive line, great on our defensive line? Well, quarterback is a complete mystery at this point. Offensive line, you feel pretty good about. I still want to upgrade at left guard. Defensive line is a disaster. And why is it all of these teams that are successful, the 49ers, the Eagles, they all draft high caliber guys, use their high draft capital to draft O-line, D-line, and quarterback, and then they spend their free agent money on O-line, D-line, quarterback. Did the 49ers need Javon Hargrave? No, but they gave him $80 million. Why? Because that's what they do. That's why they win. They're the best line of scrimmage team in the NFL with 3 different quarterbacks and 2 different head coaches. They've been to 5 of the last 10 NFC title games. You don't get that way by investing in losing football. And so we can talk about best available player and stuff like that. Maybe it's Bijan Robinson or it's this guy or that guy. But at some point, we have to invest in what wins. There were 3 guys in the 2020 draft, whatever it was, 2020 or 2021 draft, that made sense for the Falcons. Kyle Pitts, Penei Sewell, and Micah Parsons. What if you drafted Micah Parsons? how different would this franchise look? Not that Kyle Pitts was a bad draft pick. Not that Drake London is a bad draft pick. This is not about saying that those guys are bad players, but they don't impact the game week in, week out. Sunday to Sunday, they don't have enough of an impact in changing up the dynamic of the game. Kyle Pitts has been a really good player. Has he been Travis Kelce? Has he been George Kittle? He hasn't been to that level yet. And where are the Falcons? Still losing every single year. And at some point, you have to fix what ails you. If you have a cancerous tumor in you, okay, you can take all the NyQuil in the world and it'll make you feel better and it'll improve your cough and you'll sleep better and all those different things. We'll get all the benefits of taking NyQuil that it provides you, but it won't fix your tumor. Won't do a single thing to get that cancerous tumor out of you. You got to dig in and get it out and get yourself on the road to health. And that's where this Falcons franchise is that we keep talking about these best available guys and stuff like that. Well, what wins in the NFL? The three things that win in the NFL, your O-line, your D-line, and your quarterback. That's the three things. You can take the luxury of drafting Kyle Pitts and Drake London and Bijan Robinson and this guy and that guy when your team is good. When you're good at all three of them, not one, not two, all three of those things. It's not coincidence that when Jalen Hurts made his boost and their defensive line killed everybody and their offensive line is maybe the best in the NFL, that the Eagles were in the Super Bowl. How about the Chiefs? Well, let's see. Pat Mahomes is the best player in the NFL. Their defensive line is outstanding and their offensive line is outstanding. And they drafted Creed Humphrey and guys like that. Creed Humphrey is not a sexy player, but you know what he was? Second team All-Pro. Second team All-Pro. Well, what did the Buccaneers do a couple years ago? Well, all they did was draft Tristan Wirfs, who was all rookie, and then in his second year was first team All-Pro. You don't think guys like that make a difference? You don't think those unsexy guys that you draft at key positions don't make a difference on winning and losing? Of course they do. The Buccaneers already had a great defensive line. Then they added Brady. They had a great quarterback. Then they had to get their offensive line fixed. Well, here's Tristan Wirfs. Oh, he's first team All-NFL. You draft what impacts your team the most. And we've got pretty much our offensive line fixed. But when you are 20, 21 sacks on the quarterback, and the most important thing you can do on defense in the NFL is in today's game, sack the quarterback. That's the most important thing you can do. Again, 70% of the teams from 2016 on have been 38 or more sack teams. Of the last 14 Super Bowl participants, the last 14 participants, whether they won the game or lost the game, have averaged 43 and a half sacks. At some point, you have to fix it. Maybe Myles Murphy or Tyree Wilson isn't their best available player. But if they're high caliber first-round talents, you don't start passing up those guys to stay true to your board and draft wide receiver, tight end, unicorn, running back. At some point, we have to fix what ails us. And free agency isn't the way to do that. You get young and cheap and first-round talent. Again, 70% of the top 10 active sack leaders, the top 20 active sack leaders, and the top 25 active sack leaders are first-round picks. You know how I know that? Because I did all the math for you. I did the research and the math for you. You don't have to think about it. I did it all. I did all the work for you to find what this out because I wanted to see for myself. And you know what? It just confirms what I knew. Take an edge player at 8 or Jalen Carter. Take a guy that can impact the game where we don't impact the game and make it happen. All right. Besides making Hittin' Hard your first listen every day, make sure you make Locked On Sports Today your second listen. biggest stories of the day, instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day available Odyssey, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get all of your podcasts from.